So you're looking to get up to speed on online betting, maybe understand it a bit better.
But yeah, there's just so much info out there. It's tough to know where to start, right?
Exactly. Welcome to the deep dive. We basically do the heavy lifting for you. We wade through a stack of sources.
Articles, reports, you name it.
And pull out the really important bits. Saves you a ton of time.
Think of it like getting the essential download without, spending hours reading everything yourself.
And today, yeah, we're tackling online betting.
Yep.
We've actually looked at what pops up first on Google, like the first 10 results for the main search terms.
So you don't need to bother clicking through all that stuff. We've got you covered.
And one source that kept coming up and was really helpful was betplace.us.
Oh, yeah, betplace.us. They basically rank and review betting sites, look at different criteria, user feedback, expert opinions, that kind of thing.
And they've actually got a specific list, their picks, for the best betting sites in India. We're going to drop a link straight to that list right in the description for you.
Good idea. And any other key sources we touch on, we'll stick links for those in the caption, too, if you want to dig deeper.
Okay, so what's on the agenda for this deep dive?
Well, we thought we'd start with the legal side of things, using India as a sort of case study. It's
complex, definitely complex. Then we'll look at the market itself. How big is it? How fast is it growing?
And then the platforms themselves. Which sites are people using? What do they offer?
And finally, wrap up with some key things you should probably keep in mind if you're, thinking about getting involved.
Sounds good. So that legal situation in India first.
Let's do it. I mean, the foundation for gambling laws there goes way back. We're talking the Public Gambling Act from the 1800s, British rule era.
Yeah, and it's quite a contrast to somewhere like the UK, which has updated its rules pretty significantly for the online age. India's starting point is much older.
And then after independence, the power to make laws about betting and gambling went to the individual states. That's key.
Absolutely. It's in the Constitution's 7th schedule. And the result? A total patchwork. Some states regulate, some ban outright, some are kind of silent on it.
Which must create loads of confusion, right, for users and maybe even for the companies.
Totally. Uncertainty is the word. And a real headache for any operator trying to work nationally.
And then there's this whole distinction they make in Indian law between games of skill and games of chance.
Right. Article 19 of the Constitution, it protects the right to practice a profession, and courts have said games where skill is the main thing. Well, they fall under that.
They use this dominant factor test, don't they, to figure out if skill trumps chance.
Exactly. And you see that playing out. States like Goa, Sikkim, West Bengal, Nagaland, they've made laws that either list specific banned games or they explicitly say, look, games of skill aren't gambling.
Sikkim even allows online gambling, right? Though with strings attached, like servers needing to be in the state.
But it does raise questions, How clear is that dominant factor test when a game has both skill and chance? Like poker, maybe?
Good point. And then you've got the flip side. States like Assam, Orissa, Telangana, they've just banned games of chance and even games that might be seen as mixed.
Yeah, total bans there. It just shows how different the approaches can be.
So, okay, that's physical gambling, sort of.
Yeah.
What about online? Does that fit neatly into these old laws?
Well, that's the problem. It often doesn't. A lot of those old laws were thinking about physical gambling houses, not websites or apps.
So online betting often ends up in this legal gray zone.
In many states, yeah. There are newer, specific online gambling laws in some places, but again, it's not consistent across the country. Lots of ambiguity.
But isn't there a big push, or at least discussion, about actually legalizing online sports betting?
Especially for cricket.
There is. The Lota Committee was a big one. They actually recommended regulating it.
Why? What was the reasoning?
Well, a couple of things. One, to tackle match fixing, bring it out of the shadows. And two, revenue for the government, for sports bodies.
Makes sense. So why hasn't it happened everywhere if there are benefits? It's likely that classic balancing act, isn't it? Weighing the economic pluses against worries about, problem gambling and social costs.
Right. And that ties into something else the sources mentioned, the sheer size of the illegal online market.
Oh, absolutely. There was this Digital India Foundation report. Staggering numbers. They looked at just 4 big offshore brands, Parimatch, Stake, 1xBet, Battery Bet.
Right.
Get this, 1.6 billion visits in just 3 months.
Wow. 1.6 billion. That just shows the demand is massive, legal or not.
It really does. And the overall market projections reflect that underlying demand. iMark Group estimated the total India online gambling market at USD 2.9 billion in 2024.
And growing.
Projected to hit USD 5.7 billion by 2033. That's a compound annual growth rate of like nearly 8%.
So what's driving that growth, despite the legal issues?
Pretty much what you'd expect. Digital access, more internet everywhere, more smartphones in people's hands.
And easier digital payments, I guess.
Exactly. All those things make it easier for people to access these platforms, even the ones operating in that gray area or illegally.
How are people finding these illegal sites, by the way? Did the sources touch on that?
Yeah, an iGaming Business article looked into it. Apparently, the most common way is just typing the website address directly.
Really? So people already know the names?
Suggests their earlier marketing, wherever it happened, was pretty effective, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, social media plays a role too, directing traffic and other online platforms.
And I saw something about cryptocurrencies being used more.
That's a growing trend. Makes it harder for regulators to track the money, obviously. Another layer of complexity.
So what's the solution then? The Digital India Foundation report had some ideas, didn't it?
They did. They recommended what they called a combined enforcement approach. Basically saying it's not enough just to block the betting websites.
You have to go after the enablers.
Precisely. Like the social media platforms running the ads or the payment systems processing the transactions. They pointed to places like the UK, US, Denmark, Norway.
Where they've had more success with that broader strategy.
Yeah, taking a more joined-up approach seems to work better, targeting the whole ecosystem, not just the front door.
Okay, so that brings us nicely to the platforms themselves. The actual betting sites.
Right. What are some of the big names people are using, according to the sources like the top bookies or using databetplace.us looks at?
Well, there's quite a variety, and they all seem to be competing hard with features and bonuses.
Makes sense in a growing market.
Okay, so take 1xBet. They seem pretty big in India. Loads of cricket options, live betting features. They have something called a bet constructor.
Sounds fancy.
Yeah. And they offer generous bonuses, local payments like UPI, Paytm. The one small critique was maybe their promotion section is a bit cluttered. Too much going on.
Yeah, what about others?
There's 4App, also big on cricket. They offer a really big welcome package, but it's spread out over your first few deposits. They take INR and crypto too.
Crypto seems to be a recurring theme.
Definitely. Stake.com is another one known for crypto, but they also do UPI. People seem to like their customer service. They've got lots of bet types, a bet builder tool, even some live streaming.
Any downsides mentioned for Stake?
Just that they apparently don't have push notifications on their app, which some people might miss.
Yeah.
Minor thing, maybe.
Okay. Keep them coming.
Megapari, known for having a huge range of sports, tons of live betting, bonuses aimed at Indian users, takes INR. But some feedback suggested their 24/7 live chat isn't always super responsive.
Good to know. How about Parimatch? Heard that name a lot.
Yeah, Parimatch often gets praise for being user-friendly. Good pre-match and live betting, especially cricket again. It's even available in Hindi. Lots of INR, payment options, big welcome bonus.
That's pretty solid. Any catches?
Well, this is interesting. Digging around on places like Reddit, there were some user reports mentioning potential delays or issues with withdrawals from Parimatch. So maybe something for potential users to look into themselves.
Right. User reviews can offer a different perspective. What about 10 Trick? Sounds very India-focused.
It is. They really market themselves that way. Big on cricket, especially IPL. But they cover other sports, too. Have a casino section. Support crypto, UPI, INR.
And the potential drawback there.
Just that withdrawal processing times might be a bit slow sometimes, according to some users.
Okay. Seems like withdrawal speed is a common point people notice.
It does. And we could go on. There's one win, known for a massive 500% sign-up bonus.
Wow.
DafaBet, often mentioned for having good competitive odds. BC Game, which is heavily crypto-centric. Rajabets, highlighting their live betting.
It really shows there's a lot of choice out there.
For sure. And one thing that's clear is offering convenient local payment methods, like Paytm, is becoming almost essential for these sites operating in India.
Absolutely. Which leads us nicely into things you, the listener, should probably think about if you're considering online betting.
Yes. Number one, given everything we've said about the legal situation in India, really try to find sites that are licensed and regulated, if possible. It's just safer.
Definitely adds a layer of protection and hopefully fair play.
And then, think about what you actually want. Are you obsessed with cricket? Then focus on sites with great cricket coverage.
Or maybe you're hunting for the best odds. Or tempted by big bonuses.
On bonuses? Always read the small print. The terms and conditions, the wagering requirements, they matter.
Huge point. Also, payment methods. Make sure they offer options that work easily for you, both getting money in and, importantly, getting it out.
Yeah. And think about the platform itself. Is the website easy to use? Do you need a good mobile app?
And like we mentioned with Pair Match and Stake, maybe check out some user forums or reviews like on Reddit. See what other people's experiences have been.
But take individual comments with a pinch of salt, obviously.
Of course. And maybe the most important thing of all, bet responsibly.
Absolutely critical. Set limits on your time, on your money. Understand you're not guaranteed to win.
Treat it as entertainment, right? Not as a way to make a living or solve financial problems. That's a dangerous path.
So wrapping this up, we've really seen how online betting, particularly looking at India, is this really complex mix. You've got tangled laws,
A market that's booming thanks to digital tech,
a whole spectrum of platforms, some legit, some maybe less so.
and the absolute need for you, the user, to be informed and careful.
Hopefully this deep dive, pulling from those online sources like betplace.us and others, has given you a solid overview without you needing to read pages and pages yourself.
Yeah, just distilled the key points from what's out there.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with, thinking about India specifically, with all that economic potential, but also the risks. What does the future of regulation look like?
It's a big question, isn't it? How do you balance generating revenue, protecting people, and allowing this obviously popular activity? What's the right balance?
Something to chew on.
Definitely. And don't forget that link to the betplace.us list of top Indian betting sites is in the description.
And more links to our other sources are in the caption if you want to follow up on anything we discussed.
We'd actually love to hear what you think. Any questions or thoughts on online betting after listening? Let us know.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.